Real quick, I'm going to play you a video of mine that went viral on TikTok in 2024, and then we're going to talk about it. I just watched a lecture on YouTube that probably changed my life forever. Self-Compassion, an Antidote to Shame by Christopher Germer, PhD clinical psychologist. If you are someone who deals with shame, self-criticism, anxiety, just a lot of issues, just give this a listen, because shame might be something that is at the root of all of these issues and you might not even know it. I feel so blessed to have been able to introduce so many people to this concept of self-compassion by redirecting them to a professional who's been in the field for quite some time, Dr. Chris Germer. I highly recommend you go listen to the full video, but if you want what I found to be the key takeaway, I'm going to give it to you now. Dr. Chris Germer used to struggle with social anxiety and especially public speaking anxiety. And he would really beat himself up about this because he's a mental health professional. He should be able to use his breath work, use his mindfulness, and use all of his tools to not have this crippling social anxiety. That was the shame. That was the shame cycle that he was repeating over and over and over again. Why am I getting nervous? I shouldn't. This is unacceptable. Once he realized that and was able to have empathy and compassion for those feelings of anxiety when giving a public speech, the anxiety started to go away. This really resonated with me because I have also struggled with social anxiety in many forms. And the biggest one for me has always been overthinking after an event or after I give a speech or after something really stressful. I can sort of be fine in the moment, but it's that after I start shaming myself. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have looked at them like that. You shouldn't have walked like that. You should just beating myself up. That's the shame part of the cycle. Now I implement self-compassion. So let's say that I'm going to a really stressful event or I'm about to have a stressful meeting with somebody and I'm just really getting in my head. I make myself a promise. There is nothing that can happen in this event or in this scenario that will make me love you any less. I promise I am not going to beat you up. I am not going to criticize you. I'm going to love you. Everything's going to be okay. This has helped my anxiety so much. I don't even feel it anymore. I might feel a little bit of tension or stress, but that overwhelming anxiety has dissipated because I know that I'm safe because I've created a safe space for myself. So that is my first step. Start practicing and implementing self-compassion into your daily routine. My second tip is a practical way of doing that. I've actually been doing this for years, probably 10 years now. And I know a lot of you are just not going to do it, but I'm still going to share because those of you who will, I know it will transform your life. First, I'm going to tell you a little story. So when I was in college, I took a communications class. And for this communications class, our professor was so excellent. She said, I'm going to have a camera set up in the back. So whenever you give your presentation, that camera is going to be recording. The recording is going to be uploaded to a private Dropbox, and your homework is to watch your presentation back and give yourself notes. The audible groan from every person in the room, mortified. No. Every single person in that room knew that they were going to have to be giving speeches that semester. That was bad enough, right? But adding on the fact they were going to have to watch themselves, critique themselves, that took it to a whole new level. Why is this? Because we, at the end of the day, are our worst critics. It's never really about other people's opinions and judgments because most of the time we don't actually know what people are thinking. It's about our own opinions and judgments of ourselves. Forcing people to watch their own presentations, a different kind of pain. But that's what I'm going to recommend you do. Take your iPhone, prop it up, turn it around so that it's the back-facing camera so you don't have to look at yourself while you're doing it. I highly recommend that. And for 10 minutes, set a timer. I want you to just talk to the camera. Whatever you're thinking. Maybe it's, wow, I'm really uncomfortable right now. I'm really worried that I'm not going to be able to get through this. I have no idea what to talk about. All right, I guess I'll talk about my day. I just want you to keep talking, just free-flowing ideas, free-flowing thoughts. After that 10 minutes is up, you're going to watch it back, okay? And before you watch it back, right before you press play, I want you to remember the promise to have self-compassion. There will be no mocking. There will be no stupid or I look dumb. None of that. And if you find yourself tempted to think those things, remind yourself, we don't do that anymore. We have self-compassion. For those of you who do this, which again, I know most of you won't because it's hard. But for those of you who do, I think self-compassion will arise and you'll really get to feel it as an emotion rather than just as an intention. And that's what I think is really, really powerful about this exercise. I'm going to leave you with this final tip, and this is something that I have only recently started integrating in the past month or so. I've been meditating, and one of my favorite ways to meditate is to visualize my future. I visualize the good things that I want to bring into my future. I visualize the higher version of myself that I want to become. And more specifically, I visualize my future self setting up the iPhone camera to talk to my past self, saying, thank you. Thank you for putting yourself through discomfort, for doing the hard things, for prioritizing your health, for engaging in delayed gratification. You have made my life so incredible because of your hard work. I know it was hard. I know it was uncomfortable, but you worked your ass off and I'm benefiting because of that. Thank you. Doing this visualization practice has really helped me feel more connected to my future self and more intentional about the decisions that I'm making today. When I'm only thinking about my present self, it's easier to make the more animalistic, instant gratification choice. But when I know that there are going to be long-term consequences for the decisions I make now, I'm acting from a place of love. A lot of people do this when it comes to their future offspring. I want to save up money for my kids. I want to educate myself how to be a really good parent so that when I have kids, I'm a great parent. You can do that for your future self, and I think that is the ultimate act of self-love. If it's difficult for you to look into the future and imagine your future self thanking your present self, it might be easier for you to go back in time to your past self and thank that version of yourself. I think I'm saying self a lot. For me, there were classes in college 7-8 years ago now that were really, really hard for me. There was one night in particular that was really rough. I was studying for a cellular biology test. In the classroom itself, it was very late. I think I ended up taking a nap on some rolly chairs. I just lined them up and took a midnight nap. I was really struggling. I like to go back in time in that moment and just touch my shoulders on either side and go, thank you so much for putting in this work. It does pay off, and you have made my life better because of that hard work. If you commit to integrating self-compassion into your daily life, you set up a camera and you talk to yourself, then you watch it back with self-compassion, and you visualize either your future self thanking your current self for all the hard work you're doing, or you go back in time and you thank your past self for doing all the hard work that has gotten you to where you are today. You will be so much closer to self-love than you were before.